we got a good talk here. We're about to start, and it's gonna again raise some eyebrows.
How do you feel about hunting with a handgun cartridge compared to hunting with a shotgun slug?
This is down here for Lower Michigan,
and we're not talking about just a chunk of lead slug out of your
right. Not an old Remington Slugger.
These are the actual the Hornady SST rifled slugs.
Right, tremendously.
And are these handgun cartridges more effective than the slugs? And is there a pro and a con to each?
Well, you know how I feel about it. I'm kind of torn. If you're comfortable shooting the gun and it's accurate, and shot placement is crucial with deer hunting.
Right.
I don't know if you guys have ever done it, or folks listening right now. I've shot deer and had them walk away and never found them, and that's ruins your hunt because you look and you look and you look and it's maddening, and it's disheartening when you shoot an animal and you can't retrieve it. So I've had them run into swamps and never be able to find them. I've looked and looked for days. I've shot them and had clean shots, and they take off running, and apparently they're going a lot faster than I can get to them, and more diligently than they're hiding more diligently than I can find. Because Jacob, you've helped me search for deer for a whole day before,
yep,
and not found them. So it can be disheartening. So shot placement is crucial. Take your time. I know it's tough. Buck fever hits, and you have a hard time getting that shot off exactly where you think, or you think you know where it went. But practice. And when you're practicing, if you're out there practicing with a 12 gauge slug, and you're pulling the trigger on that thing, you realize after about 10 shots, you're content knowing, yeah, it's almost where I want to hit.
Yeah.
But because they are quite punishing.
So what we did was we compared, for the first segment of this, we compared a 44 Magnum Hornady round and their 225 grain, their Levolution ammo.
That's a red rubber tipped hollow point, but it's safe to put into a lever action rifle. They call it Levolution. Very nice gun, very powerful.
So and then we compared that to the Hornady 20 gauge SST rifled slug,
which has become one of the most popular deer hunting rounds we have down here, which is that 20 gauge. A lot of people are buying the 20 gauge Savage bolt action rifles. They're beautiful setup. They got them in camo. They're beautiful guns. They scope them, and away you go. You got a piece of artillery out there. So let's do some comparisons.
Yeah, right.
Compare and contrast.
So the 20 gauge slug, 250 grain slug, it leaves the muzzle at 1,800 feet per second. Now
this is a copper hollow point.
Yes.
With that red tip on it. Hornady, again, the same brand makes both these bullets.
Yep, that's why I compared them all, is that we're comparing apples to apples here.
Okay.
So 1,800 feet per second.
So 1,800 feet per second. That's pretty doggone fast.
1,798 foot-pounds of energy. And that's at the muzzle.
So that's hitting like a car.
Now, the 44 Magnum with a 20-inch barrel, which is a Marlin or a Winchester, 1,870 feet per second.
Okay. Now, this is a 225 grain bullet, so slightly smaller bullet, but the same style bullet, only 44 caliber, and the other one, I believe, is 50 caliber. Might not be 50 in the 20 gauge.
It's not 15 to 20 gauge.
Okay, so it's less than that. All right.
Okay, so 1,870 feet per second, and it's 1,747 foot-pounds of energy.
So it's almost identical.
It's almost 50 foot-pounds of energy does not make that big of a difference. But this is just at the muzzle.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is right at the end of the barrel when it comes out.
Now,
and these are two guns that would be great hunting guns for kids.
That's right.
And for youth, or for the wife, or a starter, and a great gun to hunt with. I mean, so it's a safe bet to buy one of these to hunt with.
Now, at 100 yards, which in Michigan I would have to say 99% of our shots are taken at less than 100 yards.
Yeah, I would say so.
The 20 gauge slug, you're at 1,470 feet per second.
Still going pretty fast.
And you're hitting with 1,200 foot-pounds of energy.
Okay. But these bullets are actually designed that you would be actually hitting high at 100 yards because they're designed to shoot out to 200 yards.
Yes.
So if you sight your gun in right, the gun is good for 200 yards. Is the bullet good for 200 yards? That's the question. But
Well,
Your point now is, what does the 44 Magnum do? Okay, so the 20 gauge slug is going 1,470 feet per second
that's right.
with 1,200 foot-pounds of energy.
Correct.
What is the 44 Magnum doing?
1,416 feet per second.
Very close.
And it hits with 1,002 foot-pounds of energy.
At 100 yards, it hits harder than most 45 ACPs do at the muzzle. So that's a powerful hit. That's good.
So between the two, I would call that fairly close to each other enough to not per se twins, but they're going to have basically a very similar
ballistic coefficient. You're going to hit about the same way.
Right.
You're going to do a very similar amount of damage. And here you got a 44 Magnum rifle or a 20 gauge slug rifle, and both are going to be accurate out to that 100 yards, very accurate out to 100. And then after that, you got to practice to get better, I would say, because I wouldn't just trust the gun. I'd want to get out there and shoot it at that kind of range and see what it's actually doing before I pulled the trigger on a live animal.
I would say, and they both have probably the same amount of recoil. 44 might be less.
I gotta say the 44 Magnum is going to be more comfortable to shoot than a rifle.
Yeah.
It's going to be more comfortable to shoot. It's not going to kick as hard. That's my thoughts on this. Is for a youth hunt. I mean, that was your first deer rifle too. The exact model 1894. I mean, it's a good gun, and they work great. And we're very glad we have that gun because
we have custom loaded so much ammo and shot it through that gun.
Yeah, it's a good gun. Good gun to shoot, and you've even had some custom work done to it, I believe.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yep.
All right. So we have the 20 gauge versus the 44.
So that's that kind of tells you right there that they're very similar guns. Personally, I think the 44 would be more comfortable for a youth to hunt with, and not as punishing. Okay, that's my thoughts on it. If you think differently, call and let us know. Again, our number is 810-743-8255 or toll free 866-533-1530.
Now we want to compare also the 12 gauge slug.
Yeah.
So when we come back, stay tuned, because when we come back from break, we're going to compare the 12 gauge Hornady Slug to the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum.
Oh, goodness. I Can Build That. Say it with confidence because you listen every Saturday at 10 a.m. to the I Can Build That show. For nearly 5 years, we've been helping you around your house with remodeling, renovation, and repairs, along with money-saving hints, proper techniques, and rock-solid advice that only 30 years in the business can bring. So join Mary, Jacob, and myself, Jonathan Smith, for the I Can Build That show. 10 a.m. every Saturday right here on Flint's News Talk 1470. Proudly brought to you by Pal Alarm, Starline Kitchen and Bath Gallery, and Staley's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
And now back to the Gunsmith Show with John and Jake Smith.
If you'd like to talk to John or Jake, call now, 810-743-8255.
All right, want to thank our good friends at DuraGuard Roofing. We're just getting acquainted with them, getting things rolling. They're doing some work with us, and they have wanted to sponsor the show. We're glad they have DuraGuard Roofing, your commercial roofing experts. Their number is 810-391-2928. DuraGuard Roofing for all your commercial roofing needs. How about Pal Alarm? Paul Lebrecht from Pal Alarm, 810-908-8298. He was out to the house this week, did some adjusting on my system, and glad he did. He's great with alarm systems and excellent price, excellent service. Pal Alarm for all your alarm needs. And then attorney Tim Cassidy. What can I say about Tim? Tim is an awesome guy. I feel more confident knowing his legal advice is there for us all the time. Get a hold of Tim Cassidy for all your legal needs. 810-569-5441. Again, that's 810-569-5441. And I'll tell you what I was always taught. Right behind your CPL and your wallet needs to be the card for your attorney. Remember to keep your mouth shut. You will be arrested if you use your gun in self-defense. Have your attorney's card handy and wait to talk to your attorney before you spill your guts and get yourself in trouble. Even if you know you did everything right, wait to talk to the attorney and let your family know that too. Good advice. We'll get into more of that soon and when we're talking about CPLs. But today on the Gunsmith Show, we are talking the difference between shotguns and rifles. for down here hunting in southern lower Michigan.
Rifles with handgun cartridges.
Rifles with handgun cartridges. And Jacob, you've got a very good compare and contrast coming up. Folks, if you've ever wanted to shoot a small howitzer, here you go.
Well, you have two small howitzers here. The first is the H&R, so it's the Harrington Richardson single-shot handy rifle
Yep.
in 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum.
Ouch. You know, I've been kind of waiting for that to happen, and I didn't even believe it until I read it.
Yep. Now, that's the MSRP for $270. So that's about the price of four boxes of ammo.
shells. That's what I was just going to say.
So you have the handy
put it this
rifle
way.
in 500 Magnum.
You shoot it, you know it works,
Right.
and then you don't have to shoot this thing day and night.
Right. Versus the 12-gauge bolt-action rifled shotgun.
Ah.
So we have the two of those come together here, and we're going to compare them just like we did previously with the 20-gauge versus the 44 Magnum.
Okay.
So the 12-gauge Hornady SST 300 grain slug.
Well, hang on a minute. You want to clarify something about the 500 Smith & Wesson with your ballistics that you're going to give, correct?
Because this rifle is so new, the specs that they have given
Are only for revolvers.
are only from out of the
Big revolver.
the big revolvers,
Yeah.
8 3/8 inch Smith & Wesson X-frame revolvers.
Right.
So it would actually probably be a little greater numbers out of the rifle.
I would imagine it would be.
So the 12 gauge with the 300 grain slug at the muzzle is going 2,000 feet per second,
Very good. This is what we use for deer hunting.
and at the muzzle it has 2,664 foot-pounds of energy.
Awesome.
That's pretty massive.
Yes, it is.
At 100 yards, it's down to 1,641 feet per second, but it's still hitting with 1,791 foot-pounds of energy. So it's hitting at 100 yards with more energy than the 44 Magnum at the barrel.
There you go.
And this is the 12-gauge slug.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's switch over to the 500 Smith & Wesson Magnum. Difference. The 12-gauge has a 300 grain slug. The 500 has a 500 grain Hornady XTP flat point bullet.
Wow.
Muzzle velocity is at the barrel 1,425 feet per second compared to the 2,000 feet per second out of the 12-gauge rifle.
Right.
But remember, this is out of the handgun too, so there's going to be some additional to this. And energy at the barrel is 2,254 foot-pounds of energy at the barrel, compared to 2,600 out of the 12-gauge.
Wow.
Velocity at 100 yards, you're still going 1,100 feet per second, and energy is still at 1,500 feet per second.
Or foot-pounds.
Foot-pounds,
Yeah,
I'm sorry, foot-pounds.
That's all right. Now,
So the 500
can outperform.
Well,
think of it out of a rifle. It's got to be. You're going to almost. I would say you would increase those numbers by probably 25 to 30% by going to a 20-inch barrel.
I would say so.
I would think so, unless something we don't understand about the equations with a 50 caliber can drop. But we need to get one of those and put it in front of a chronograph and see what they can do.
Yep.
And that velocity is going to go up. So I would imagine that 500, which probably kicks like a mule in that single shot, I would imagine it's got a hell of a thump to
What
it.
makes you think that?
I just think it does.
Maybe because the fact it's a 50 caliber.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, when you're shooting a 500 grain bullet.
This is finally my chance though to get that double rifle in 500.
You've been wanting to have maybe you can talk to NEF and have them weld two barrels together.
Don't say it like that. I'm sure there's somebody in Burton that can weld two barrels together.
Well,
for me.
more than likely, or maybe Bert or Burton, one or the other. Probably one of those could handle it.
I got some duct tape.
Yeah.
All right.
Some crazy glue. And
Where do
all
I
that.
aim? You don't. You just point.
Yeah. So if you're thinking you might want to, have a very powerful gun to hunt with down here that does fit within the realm of the handgun cartridge. When our interpretation of the book is the rules for the new handgun cartridge rules for Southern Lower Michigan, the 50 S&W does fit in it.
500.
The 500 S&W does fit the mold.
right.
Now, does the 460 also do that?
The 460,
It's got
I
a long
believe
case.
the 460 was just at
the
the
dimensions?
limit.
Okay, because the 460 can actually outperform the 500
I would prefer the 460 over a 500.
just for reloading capabilities and stuff.
Well,
You can
it's
shoot
45
Colts through it.
Right.
It's 452 diameter. So very interesting compare and contrast here because, for years we've always wanted to get the best shotgun slugs down here, and they do work. And you've already got an investment there, but if you want to change pace a little bit, this might be the year to do it. So stop over to Williams and ask them. First, you want to get your SST ammo, those beautiful shotgun slugs that work tremendously. We're shooting, Jake and I have both, and both of our slug guns last year, shooting one hole groups, 5-shot, one hole groups at 100 yards, at 92 yards. So those slugs are tremendously accurate. It's not the days of old. And we both quit using our smoothbore shotguns for any kind of deer hunting and have switched over to the rifle bolt actions, and we're very glad we did.
Well, I have some more information here.
Yes.
Something that you really don't hear that much about
What's that?
is hunting with a 357 Magnum rifle.
Well, you've heard about it your whole life.
I have my whole life, but everybody's pushing the 44 Magnum.
Well, sure.
Everybody,
I mean,
it's...
you don't go to the racetrack with a Ford Pinto. You go there with a race
Well, we're
car.
not saying the Magnum's a Pinto.
No, we're not.
It's not necessarily the fastest horse on the track, but it's going to be second or third.
It's going to go back to shot placement.
Right. So the 357 Remington Magnum out of a rifle, out of an 18-inch barrel, which is the Marlin, or the new Ruger bolt action,
Yes.
with the 140, it's a 140 grain bullet now.
Let me clear something up.
What?
You said the 357 Remington Magnum.
Yeah.
It's the 357 Magnum.
No,
It's not
it's
the Remington Magnum.
Isn't it the 357 Remington Magnum?
No, it's not a Remington Magnum. 357 Magnum.
Well, anyways, I'll correct you later on in the show
Okay.
then too,
All right.
4 times.
If I need to be corrected, folks, let me know. I left
Anyways.
him speechless.
140 grain FTX bullet out of the 357
Right.
Magnum.
And that's the Levolution.
Right.
So good round.
Muzzle velocity is 1,800 feet per second. And
Smoking.
energy, it's only hitting with 1,064 foot-pounds.
Listen, you act as if it's nothing.
This is at the muzzle.
Okay.
At the muzzle. At 100 yards, it drops down to about 1,450 feet per second in the speed.
Right.
And energy is only 660 foot-pounds.
Okay.
So this is, like you said, shot placement is crucial.
Right. A lot of folks hunt with 357 Magnums, go for headshots or go for upper neck shots to try to put the deer down quickly. They don't try to go to main cavity. But this year we're going to do something different.
You're going to try something.
I've talked to my good friends at Liberty Ammo. We're going to get some 357 Liberty Ammo. We're going to try it out of my rifle, my 357 Marlin, and see how it works. Now, this should be interesting. And like I was talking to the bullet manufacturer, and he said, imagine a center mass chest cavity shot with the 357 Magnum Liberty Ammo. The it's frangible copper projectile, hollow point, going tremendously fast. He says, you get a lung shot, the deer's going down, because it's going to lose its lungs. It'll work.
It's going to lose a lot of things if you shoot it there.
Well, the thing is, we're going to try it, and I'm gonna go at if I get the right shot this year, the Incredible Hulk and I, with Liberty Ammo in it, are going to take down a deer. So
I thought you were going to hunt with a rifle.
I'm going to have the rifle and the handgun with me.
Oh.
So I'm going to try it with the handgun first.
We'll call you Johnny 357.
Well, there you go.
All right.
I have a lot of faith in it. They're good guns.
So, what is available in the 357 Magnum? I have the hardest time saying that. 357 Magnum
Correct.
for a hunting rifle.
Well, there's a lot out there.
There are. Let's start off with one of your newer rifles.
Yeah.
It's the Rossi. Rossi offers the Model 92 lever action in this.
Which is a throwback.
It's a throwback to
Yeah.
the Winchester. Rossi's a newer one, though.
Yep.
They hold 10+1, and they have a 20-inch barrel. But it looks like a traditional Winchester lever action. Top eject, everything.
Right.
H&R has also their handy rifle single shot in it. 22-inch barrel. It's It's the all black one.
Yes, black composite stock.
Yep.
There we go.
MSRP is $322 for the H&R.
Okay.
Henry Arms also makes the big boy in the 357 Magnum. It has a 22-inch octagonal barrel.
Wow.
So if you want a baseball bat to carry around in the
Well,
woods,
that's a good looking
this
gun.
would be it.
It really is.
Absolutely. Checkered walnut brass receiver, as always, holds 10+1. $899.
All right. What else?
Now Marlin makes their 1894C.
Yes.
18.5-inch barrel. It holds 10. Well, 9+1. Just a great gun. The good American walnut on that one as well.
You know, we should start a 357 Marlin club, because everybody I know that has one, when you realize you're talking to somebody that has one, they just light up. They're like, oh, it's the coolest gun ever. You know what I like about them, honestly?
What?
They work so good. They're fun to shoot. And because we reload 38s and 357s, I can make that a squirrel hunting gun. I
Yep.
can make it a bear hunting gun. I can load those rounds any way I want to, because that thing is a tank. Not to say that I overload rounds. I don't. I follow the book to the T. But you load 357s for these guns in the rifle ballistics, and they're tremendous guns.
Yeah.
I mean, tremendous. We have 357 rounds that are not to be used in handguns because they are too powerful for the handguns. But they shoot out of them Marlin rifles beautifully. So just got to be careful with it.
So MSRP on the Marlin is $729.
All right.
They're usually less
Now,
than that.
yeah, MSRP is the manufacturer's suggested retail price. We don't try to tell you what they're going for in the stores unless we can roundabout do it, but that's the MSRP.
Now, this one is the Ruger 77 357. Once again, bolt action. It's a 5+1 magazine, 18.5-inch barrel, black synthetic stock, stainless barrel, stainless receiver. Now, MSRP is $969.
Right.
But Williams has these for right about $680.
Yeah, under 700.
Yep.
Very, very nice guns and in high demand.
Yep.
They also come with camouflage stocks. Some
They
of
do.
them do. They are really sharp. Just be a great, if I was starting a kid out hunting, that would be their deer hunting rifle.
Yep.
And shot placement, wait for that nice 44-yard shot or 37-yard shot, and shot placement, and away you go.
All right.
Very humane.
Well, our final 357 rifle is I guess it would be another classic like the Marlin. And this is the Winchester model 1892.
Yeah.
So this is what the Rossi was copied after.
Yes, it was.
20-inch barrel, and it's just that classic Winchester look.
Beautiful gun.
MSRP on these are $1,069. But
It also is available with the large loop.
that's right.
And that always perks Jacob's interest.
That's right.
Jake.
The large loop lever action. Just try and swing it around and see what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Just don't drop it.
With a 20-inch barrel, you're only going to be able to do so much, but it is a classic-looking gun, that's for sure. If you want, if you want to have a classic gun you can hang on the wall and take deer hunting, that might be the one.
Yep.
Might be the one. All right, we got to go to a quick commercial break, so hang on tight. The Gunsmith Show will be right back.